Hi guys! Welcome back to the End Time series where we discover life in the darkness. So in the previous episode, we spoke about the signs of the end of the age and of Jesus' return, as well as uncovered what true worship is and the importance of the need of worship, as many have been deceived. So in Matthew chapter 24, just as in the days of Noah, we saw the similarities of the current state and ways of man. And from where we left off, we mentioned that only those with the seal of God will be safe, will be protected. So when we look at the Bible, we see another mention of a seal or mark from the book of Revelations, or that in the current times we hear that a lot about this mark that is not of God. So in today's episode, let us take a closer look at the book of Revelations to receive further insights on the mark of the beast. So first, let us comprehend that through Bible prophecies, we will witness the rise of the Antichrist, who will come into great power during the tribulation period, and he will come imitating Jesus in order to deceive the whole world and eventually taking dominion. So what is the mark of the beast, and why has this topic baffled so many people? And in order to answer that question, we need to identify not only the mark, but reveal the identity of the beasts as in the book of Revelation, as it is their mark many will accept. And then who is the Antichrist? So these are extremely important questions for these end times. And if you do not understand who the Antichrist or what exactly the mark of the beast, you are already set up for deception. So let us turn to our Bibles to Revelation chapter 13, verse 1. It says here, "Then I stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his heads a blasphemous name." So this is the first beast, and we must understand what has been described is symbolic. So the beast here is a governmental beast, a worldwide political system, the future one world government. And why is it so? So the 7 heads here represent 7 world kingdoms, which will eventually embrace the entire globe. So the horns are a symbolic of power, and the crowns here are symbolic of kings, which will lead this government. So these kings are of one mind, and they will give all of their power and authority to the beast. The 10 crowns indicate the rule of the 10 kings associated with the last kingdom, and on his head a blasphemous name. So these point to the Antichrist character. He will exalt himself above all that is called God or that is worship. So let us take a look at verse 2. "Now the beast which I saw was like a leopard. His feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth like the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power, his throne, and great authority." So we have been given a further description of this beast. So we see earlier that the beast represents kings and kingdoms that will actually appear on earth. So it is not difficult to know exactly what these 4 kingdoms are, because this vision parallels a dream that is interpreted in Daniel chapter 2, which we will not go through today in detail. So who gives this government beast his power? It says here the dragon. And who is the dragon? So let us flip to Revelation chapter 12, verse 9. And what does it say here? "So the great dragon was cast out, the serpent of old called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." So the dragon here is in fact Satan, the one who gives power to the governmental beast. So Satan and his angels are cast out from heaven. So not only will Satan, who is supernatural, be present on earth, but so shall his fallen angels, who are supernatural. So their goal is to deceive the whole world, to make all the earth believe that Satan and his angels are Jesus Christ and his angels, who have come to restore the kingdom of heaven. But this is a lie. Okay, let us look at another verse in Revelation chapter 13, verse 11. What does it say here? "Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb and spoke like a dragon." So we now have a second mention of the beast. So if we look at the original text, the beast we see here is therion in Greek, which have a meaning of brutal, savage, ferocious. Meaning to say that there will be a rising of a supreme chief, the Antichrist, who is Satan, the dragon. And so putting it all together, Satan is coming as the Antichrist, and there will be a unity of kingdoms, and a final world empire will be revealed as the formation of a one world government. And the Antichrist will gain this position through deception, bringing about peace and seeking to set up his own kingdom, setting the stage for worldwide political and religious domination. So you see, everything about the Antichrist will emanate from the perversion of truth that is represented in the lie in Genesis chapter 3 verse 5 that brought about the fall of man. He says, you will be like God. And as the master deceiver, Satan is a liar, and he disguised himself as the angel of light. And so the preparation of the way for the Antichrist has to be the corruption of the truth of God. So remember, Satan through the Antichrist figure is acting as Jesus Christ. So since the beginning, Satan wanted to be just like God. He will imitate God, he will deceive many people, playing his role as Christ on earth, working signs and wonders. So eventually, the Antichrist will abolish all religions and insist that the world worship him, and he will declare himself to be the one and only true God. And many will be convinced that he is worthy of worship, believing that he cannot be resisted or overcome due to their ignorance of the Word of God. But this is all a blasphemous lie. So why? Because if you have taken the time to read the Bible, you have been taught that prior to the second coming of Jesus, the false Messiah will come and imitate Jesus. So once the Antichrist has gained the world's trust, he will institute the mark of the beast in an effort all to provide security with total economic and political control through a one world government. And it will be extremely convincing, so much so that while many will accept the mark of the beast, even the saints would be deceived unless the time was shortened, according to Matthew chapter 24, verse 22. So what is the mark of the beast that we are talking about here? So let us continue to read Revelation chapter 13 verse 16. It says, he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads. So what is on your forehead? We are talking about a spiritual mark on your forehead, meaning your thoughts, your will have bought into the deception of the false Messiah, believing that Satan is Christ. And the mark on your right hand symbolizes your work and deeds. So not only do you believe that Satan is Jesus, but you are doing his work. So the people then will be overjoyed and jumping at all the opportunity to take part in a perceived Christ government. So think for a moment, if you are just looking for a visible or physical mark, you are deceived. So the great deception that has been popularized by a controlled media by the Antichrist is that many think that the mark of the beast is just some form of a chip or technology that tracks your movement better than an iPhone, or allowing you to pay using without using cash, or have some new facial recognition software. So this is not the case. It is much more than this, as this completely belittles the massive and worldwide event that is going to be the true mark of the beast. It is the entire world buying into the great deception that Satan is Jesus, who has brought his kingdom to reign on earth. Well, in the current coronavirus crisis, we are seeing parallels to all of this, and I believe that people today are conditioned to take the mark of the beast. Look at everywhere around you today. Many places are all reading your foreheads because that's how they could tell your temperature. And so that to me is taking and getting people used to scanning their foreheads all the time, everywhere they go. So we find that there is also people that are putting up new technology to fight the spread of viruses with all these disease going around now. So you need to be vaccinated, and you need to have some sort of identification, some sort of a mark, something like that to prove that you have been vaccinated. And so they already have all that going on, and the technology is already here. the quantum dot tattoo. And then there is the ID 2020 going around. So this is a world convention that is being headed up by the Rockefeller Foundation. And we know that there is a Digital ID Act that is in the works right now. And they are saying that there are people across the world who have no bank account, especially people in the third world nations that have no cash, no driver's license, no ID. So there is a need to get an easy way to identify these people so that they can have a digital identification. And that is the ID 2020 organization. Look, the devices that will become the mark already exist or are already in place. And recently we hear of the quantum financial system. So in the wake of a great economic crisis that we are in right now, many are already proposing the call for a digital currency or mark, which we need to have a non-physical, tangible digital currency. So in the near future, all banks throughout the world will be forced to announce the new quantum financial system, and soon after, only the new digital currency will be accepted. So the mark of the beast will be leading up to a worldwide quantum currency reset. In other words, you will not be able to buy or sell, just as in Revelation 13 verse 17, it says that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So the mark in Greek is charagma, which means a stamp, an impression, or an engraving like a tattoo. So an engraving on the flesh, so the phrase should be translated to a mark, providing an undeniable identification, like a symbol, giving irrefutable connection between parties. So a tattoo is not reversible or transferable. So just so you know, Hitler has tattooed millions, and the devil will use the same to control people. So here is their strategy. They believe that identity is a human right and individuals must have ownership over their identity. So this will lure as a bait to get everyone on board to this future of digital identity globally and eventually getting everybody part of this one world system. So this is part of the fulfillment of prophecy that everybody's got to have the mark or they can't buy or sell. To accept this mark, you give a part of yourself to Satan and his government. So however, there will be many Christians who will reject the mark and will come under great persecution. So those not born again, those without the seal of God, will be eager to serve Satan and the beast system. And this is where Jesus foretold the state of society during the tribulation, that fathers will turn over their children and children will turn against their parents to be put to death for not taking the mark. So in short, many people will bow to the New World Order system. And each individual will be required to make a pledge or some sort of a satanic oath in order to enter into this New World Order. Not surprising, there is already a blueprint for this. So guys, the mark is in your thoughts, in your mind, what you believe and the actions you take. This is a spiritual mark. So the mark of the beast is not as simple as a chip, but the acceptance into the buying into the system of the Antichrist and the conditioning, the deception of receiving the mark has already begun today. The kingdom of the beast is a human kingdom, an evil kingdom instead of a divine one. The kingdom of this beast promises life and prosperity but brings death, misery and devastation. So to those who know the word today, we must protect ourselves by testing all doctrines and religious ideas against the word, as it is often warned against being deceived by false doctrines. So the Bible also warns and promises the wrath and judgment of God for those who receive the mark of the beast, as mentioned in Revelation chapter 14. They shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God. They shall be tormented with fire and brimstone, and the smoke of their torment ascends forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night. So when you are forced to make the decision to take the mark that will seal your eternal fate, what decision will you make? And when we are at the end of the tribulation, watching for the last prophecy to be fulfilled, don't buy into peer pressure or hype. I urge all of us that even in fear or persecution, let us not bow to anyone other than God. What we need is to come back to the Word of God, just as in Deuteronomy chapter 6, we bind the Word of God to our foreheads, to our hands, and keep His words in our hearts. Only those who belong to God and keep His words will be protected and avoid some of these events that will take place in the future. And we are very close to this period and it could happen any moment. So it is very interesting that God, in the same passage of Revelation chapter 14, is also warning that aside from taking the mark of the beast, Babylon is fallen. So there is certainly a mystery here, and we will study and understand more about Babylon in the next episode. So stay tuned and stay vigilant.